This is Smiles TV. Welcome to Smiles Television Talk Show. I'm your host, Stephanie Anthony Miles, and thank you for tuning in again. We have a dynamic, wonderful gentleman today that you are going to simply enjoy hearing from. His name is Chris Coleman, and he is the CEO and the president of Lessie Davis Neighborhood House in East St. Louis, Illinois. However, their service area goes much further than East St. Louis. Don't go away and remember, Jesus Christ was born of a virgin. He was crucified and buried, and he rose on the third day. Confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord. Believe in your heart that God has raised him from the dead, and thou shalt be saved. Stay tuned for more smiles.
Talk about why am I here? Out of all the things you could have been doing in the community, Mr. Coleman, out of all the companies you could work for, why serve in this community? There's no money here. There's nothing. But I believe that people are valuable to God.
I'm sitting here with the president, the CEO of Lessie Davis Neighborhood House, and we're at the original facility at 1200 North 13th Street in East St. Louis, Illinois. Thank you, Mr. Coleman, for coming to Smiles TV Talk Show.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to meet you and a pleasure to introduce you to our audience.
Thank you.
You know what, though? I'm saying introduce you, but you're a homeboy. You're from East St. Louis, right? Tell us a little bit about yourself and your family.
I was born and raised here in East St. Louis. My mother was originally from Mississippi. My family, I don't have a lot of family here per se, but a lot of our family migrated here from Mississippi. So my mother was the foundation of us coming to East St. Louis.
Okay, so you matriculated through school in the East St. Louis area?
Through East St. Louis Public School District. Then went on to work for the neighborhood house, a volunteerism program called AmeriCorps, and then kind of growing up through the agency, if you will.
And you know what? People say, can anything good come out of East St. Louis? And so we're showing you, yes, indeed, it can. But so you left East St. Louis and you went on, and what did you end up doing?
Oh my gosh. Of course, you know, our school system here is sometimes a little challenging. People living in poverty experience things that people who are privileged don't.
Right.
So growing up was really rough.
Before the cameras came on, you were telling me a story, and if you will, share a little bit about how you said the Lessie Davis Neighborhood House practically saved your life. In so many words, tell that again.
It was approximately about 31 years ago. My mother was in need of services. She came to the neighborhood house in the dead of winter. We had caught the bus from our home on 37th Street. Right there down from our senior care center. And, you know, I didn't really understand what being poor really is, you know, you really don't really realize poor until you've been experiencing something else. But we actually caught the bus here to the neighborhood house. And what was so unfortunate was, well, sad a little bit sometimes, because I didn't understand some of the things that she went through to be the person that she was, to provide for her children, the sacrifices of a mother, right? So my mother caught the bus here. We caught the Rosemont. I remember it was the Rosemont bus that we actually caught here to the neighborhood house.
I remember that.
Bus.
Yes.
And so we let us off right here. And we came into the doors of the neighborhood house, and I sit there in the lobby with her, and there was a case manager who came out to allow her to tell her story, if you will. The neighborhood house was assisting individuals and families, like they do today, with really trying to close that gap and really meet that need.
Okay.
So she began to tell her story there, and me being 8 years old, I'm just sitting here with tears running down her face, talking about what had happened and what was going on. And she began to tell about how she didn't actually planned her life to be this way. She didn't intend to get with a guy and he walk out on her and leave her with children and no money or no food. So she told the case manager what was going on. After that, we walked out of the neighborhood house, and we left here with nothing. We came with nothing, we left with nothing, right? And we got back on the bus, and as we were getting on the bus, she told me, she said, son, there's 3 things that you'll have to always do and do it right. You'll always have to work hard, tell the truth, and always do the right thing.
Okay.
8 years old, what does that really mean? I'm a kid. So we get back on the bus and go home, and a day or so later, there was a knock on the door. And those of us who've grown up in poverty in the houses of East St. Louis, we know that houses aren't so well insulated, right? So we had a sheet over our door. Okay. And we warmed the home through the oven. Some people can relate to that. Right. And so there was a knock on the door, and here I tried to run to the door, and my mother stopped me. She said, "You better not go to that door and answer that door." And so I hit toward the door. She grabs me, get back in the house. And so she went to the door and she answered the door, and she lifted back the cover that was covering the door to keep the air from coming in. And here was staff from the neighborhood house walking through our door with food and clothes and dollars to pay the bills, food to put on the table, and to really help close that gap. 31 years later, whoever would have known that the young man who was being serviced in the neighborhood house in the lobby would be the next leader and the first African-American leader to lead the agency.
And my next question actually was going to be, what is your why and why do you do what you do? So did that experience lead you to want to work with the neighborhood house at that time?
Yes. Okay. And I believe it falls back to do the right thing and work hard that my mother always taught me about doing. I feel that that's what's motivated me to do what I do. I believe that one day the next Chris Coleman will show up in that lobby, and I believe that we should always continue to pay it forward.
Wow.
And that's why I'm here, to make sure that when the next Chris Coleman shows up in that lobby, that the legacy and the work that has happened here at the neighborhood house continues on, to make sure others receive services.
And listening to you, what you're sharing is that you had hope. And so you want to give that back. I can remember one time I was at Save-A-Lot in East St. Louis, and I didn't have much money, and I was looking around trying to count quarters, right? And everybody else looked like they didn't have it either, but they looked like they were so sad. And it was as if God said they need hope. And as long as you have hope, you can do things. So speaking of hope, what is your hope for Lessie Bates? What's the mission of Lessie Bates?
Our mission here is to really just reach people where they are, meet people where they are, and to offer them solutions and means and ways to exit poverty versus stay there. In the African American community here, there's so many different barriers that individuals run into. And our goal here is to really empower people to become a better them, to offer them whatever that need is to exit where they are and to look at life a little bit different.
Tell you what, I want to continue the conversation, but I also want to talk about some of the services and things that are available for seniors and for the youth and just for the community at large. So you stay there and you don't go away either. Stay tuned for more Smiles.
Today, Lessie Bates is a social justice agency. For years, Lessie Bates was always about, hey, well, how can we serve people? How can we do this? How can we do this? Now with the leadership, for years, we used to have to keep our eyes on Springfield. Springfield was just doing their thing, and they would eventually get it together. Well, for more than 2 years, almost 2 years, Springfield has not gotten their act together. Now today, somehow, we've elected a leader. Now, not only are we watching the state of Illinois, We're watching DC. And we are watching DC. And our people are no longer at the table. We're on the table. And we know how to use some things are children and some things are not. And for my wife, she never wants anything on the menu. It's always something off the menu. How I decided I would call you all together to see how do we get the voices of the people in our constituents heard? How do we get them, how do we meet their needs? Each day, each one of you all as churches here in East St. Louis, we all know we don't have billion-dollar endowments sitting around with a bunch of money coming in. But we have a bunch of people there who have hope that tomorrow will be a brighter day. But with the limited resources, if you have more than 50% of your population that you're serving living in poverty, and the other 50% or 40% in the middle class and 10% are just super rich, right? You have those super rich people. That the ones at the bottom, we really can't meet all their needs because it's the top tithers that are kind of really carrying the weight of the ministry, right? So how can Lessie Bates begin to help close that gap? And we take individuals, you'll see your packet, from another transaction to transformation. That's our mission here now. People shouldn't continue to come to the food pantry week after week, week after week, week after week, and we not find out why they're there. Maybe they're there because they need a job from our jobs program. Or maybe they're there because mom or dad is sick and she needs someone at home with them. This person not educated or qualified enough to really go out and get a job, but they can't because guess what? We believe in the care of our elderly. We take care of mom before we really put mom or dad in the university. We do all we need. But sometimes hurting, just like when he was transferring the Ark of the Covenant, I'm only just, if I get it a little wrong, you preach it straight down. But, while it's being transferred back, the gentleman rushed up to catch it that was fallen, but not that he was doing anything wrong. He was trying to do something that he thought was right, but it caused hurt to him. So how can we actually begin to move this thing forward without doing damage to ourselves? We can do it by coming together collectively. Come out of our individual silos and say, hey, Lessie Bates, hey, Power of Change, hey, Changing Lives Ministries. We have this big driving agent over here, which is a neighborhood house, who has all these individuals who need support and help. And while your ministry may not be able to give them that $150 is needed to close that gap, maybe it's something that we have some resources that can help an individual out. Maybe I can send them to your church because they're looking for a church home in this community or they need someone to pray with them and help them. But I think that this thing is not going to start moving forward until we all start working together. Until we all start working together. We're serving one people in one city for one purpose, for one God. Lessie Bates can talk about what we have coming out in the spring and what we have coming out in the fall. So that you're informed, so when you're talking across your pulpit, you say, well, you know what? I know that Lessie Bates have a food pantry over there. There's no need of me to open up a food pantry. I'm going to work with Lessie Bates and see how can this ministry support what they're doing over there versus me reinventing the wheel. Because when you reinvent the wheel, trust me, it's very costly. We are not always trying to have the mic. We don't want the mic. We want to share in this process. And so a lot of my vice presidents today, you will hear from them, and they will just give you a snippet about what their program is actually doing. Because we're doing a lot of great things in this community. And I guarantee you all, some of you all aren't even knowledgeable of that right now. What's going on?
We're back, and we're talking with Mr. Chris Coleman, the CEO and president of Lessie Bates Davis Neighborhood House. Mr. Coleman, I love your facilities. You have a couple of different facilities throughout the area, and we'll talk about that if we get a chance to. But I really want you to share with our audience some of the things that you provide. What does Lessie Bates do?
Lessie Bates do a wide array of things. We have education programming. We have our community health and welfare programming, and we also have our volunteerism component and our workforce. The one I would like to lift up the most would be our community health and welfare. Under this one of our newest programs that we have. And with this program, we have a congregant feeding component in this program. And what we do is we allow seniors to leave their homes, come into our community center, eat, socialize, and really get a chance to really assess their health and well-being as well, every day, Monday through Friday. We also have a Meals on Wheels program, which is servicing about 1,700 meals each week.
About how many?
1,700 meals go out, close to 1,700 each week to seniors to make sure that they're not choosing medication over food. You know, of course, our youth and our seniors are their prized assets in the community, and we definitely want to make sure we're meeting those needs.
So, where do you see the Lessie Bates Davis neighborhood house heading? What's your vision for the future?
My goal for the neighborhood house is to take individuals from being another transaction of the agency into a transformation. For each year, over the past years, we've serviced individuals in so many ways. They would come to the neighborhood house, they would grab a box of food, but they would leave. But they left still having a need that needed to be met. So what we're doing is we're taking individuals from just letting them come in and get a food box to finding out what else can we do to close this gap. Because each and every month a person shouldn't have to come back to that line if you're really meeting their need, right? So we're taking these individuals and making sure that we fully wrap them by doing intensive case management to find out if is it job training that you need? Is it a food box that you need? Is it maybe mental health? You know, maybe it's your child needs to be in daycare, or you need some after school enrichment for your child. So, or maybe someone needs to watch mom, or maybe mom needs to visit our care center there during the days to allow you a chance to go to work or whatever that may be. And we're really trying to give these individuals a full wrap to make sure that we're doing everything we can to keep them from being that recurring transaction and to then move on to a transformation.
Wow, that is amazing. I can remember when my mom had Alzheimer's and dementia, and I was her major caregiver. But the Lessie Bates Davis Neighborhood House was available for services for her.
Wow.
And so I know the services were excellent because it was my mother, and I was making sure they were. But tell us about your staff, speaking of that, because the staff then was excellent, and I'm sure they are now. So tell us a little bit about your staff and your vice presidents and who
My
they
staff
are.
is amazing. I have an amazing staff. They all got behind me to make sure, you know, of course, I feel all the time, I tell them all the time, is that I'm just a man taking a walk if none of them are following me and really pushing me on to the next level. So this agency thrives and grows and evolves into this great thing only because I have the vision, but they have the legs. They're the mechanism, they're the moving parts of this agency, and they're just taking this staff, this agency to even higher levels. I mean, they amaze me, the things they're doing here.
And I mentioned that I know that there are many different locations, and if you will, just tell our audience where are your sites and what happens within those buildings.
Well, we have 5 different locations here in the city. We're strategically placed throughout the city to make sure that individuals don't have to catch those buses just to get here or take public transportation. And if they do take public transportation, it's not a long ride. They don't have to transfer buses and things like that. Our agencies are strategically aligned to make sure that kids who in the South End who needs to get to the center for educational enrichment and homework help and playing basketball in the community center in a safe environment, they visit our Mary Brown Center. We also have a daytime computer training class there at the Mary Brown Center. We also have our Early Childhood and Development Center right there located on State Street by the school board. That inside that building we actually have a prevention initiative program where parents and staff are working together to move that child forward. We also have our main center here on 13th Street, which is where it all started from.
That's right.
We actually have an individual and family support program here. We actually have we have a teen reach and after school program here in this building as well. This building also houses our fiscal office as well. We also have our senior care program, which is located on 1274 North 37th Street here in East St. Louis. We also have our Trinity Outreach Center, which is located in Washington Park, which houses our food pantry and another teen reach program. We're strategically located.
Yeah, you could go on and on.
And then go
it sounds
on
like
and
you guys
on.
are doing a lot of good things.
Yes.
Behind the Adidas program, so if there's someone in your church whose kid is being threatened to go into foster care or is in foster care and in this area, we will have a direct connect. So we can probably help jump in to that situation and begin to mediate so that our kids don't go into here. Because just because a mom can't pay her light bill doesn't mean she's abusing that child. Families shouldn't be broke up. We need to provide the supports to keep these families together. And so that's what we're going to be doing. So we're grateful to have that now interconnect with DCFS.
When you think of your staff, what do you most look for from them? What is the one thing or two things, or however? I know this wasn't a planned question, and I'm just,
No. I like the question.
Okay, so what do you look for from them?
Commitment. Commitment. Commitment to making a difference in this community. That's what I look for.
And while you were talking, you started talking about the parents just a little bit. What is the support? How is there great support from the parents in the community?
Our parents are getting involved. We believe that an informed parent is an involved parent.
Okay.
And the more we involve them and the more we get them educated and involved in this child's life, our kids soar.
You know what, I hate to tackle this one subject, but everybody knows that the state of Illinois has been experiencing some financial difficulties.
Yes.
And when you think about that, you have some kind of way still managed to thrive in the midst of it. So tell us about those challenges.
First of all, let me be very honest with you. It's called faith. It's called God. We started with very little. We had nothing. The state had left us high and dry. And God gave me the position here. He put me here for this season and this time, for however long it was. And I told him, God, if I show up, you've definitely got to show out. And you've got to make a way out of no way. And it's really ironic to where there is no explanation to how the neighborhood house has survived another year, 2 years without a state budget.
Wow.
We have hired on additional staff. We've had more programming, even without a state budget. We have taken a little, and I don't understand God's math, so I try not to get into it, right? But I try not to figure out his math. But when other agencies were closing and they didn't have enough dollars to make payroll, not one time have we had to talk about layoffs under my administration this year. That's nothing but God. All of our buildings are still open. People are yet working. Our centers are thriving. The community is growing. And more right now under our jobs program, more than 25% of the individuals who entered our program in November under our community youth employment program, they're working jobs making $12 and above an hour. That's a sustainable wage.
Absolutely amazing. That is incredible. And then I, like you, do believe that God is in the midst of this. So that's just great. If you know what, we didn't talk much about your family. I want to kind of go back a little bit. So you are married with children.
I am.
So tell us about your family.
Oh my family is very interesting.
Okay.
In the Coleman household, it gets a little crazy every now and then, but they are definitely committed to the work that I'm doing. Someone has to sacrifice when the other person or dad or mom is in the field of service. My wife is full-time occupational therapist registered. She is the love of my life.
Okay.
She keeps me going. I tell everybody she wears the pants. I just wear the shirt and tie. I have 3 wonderful children who I love dearly. Kendall, Caitlin, and CJ. Kendall's 14. Caitlin is 6 going on 21. And CJ is 9 trying to find himself. But they are amazing. They are amazing. They sacrifice every day for Dad to really come here and serve in this community. And they're in this with me. Wow. And I love them dearly for that.
And is your wife from the area by any
My
chance?
wife is not from the area. My wife is from Alton.
She's from the area.
But I am from this area.
That's right. We know you are East St. Louis,
I am born and bred East St. Louis.
That's right. That's right. And then something good does come out of East
Absolutely.
St. Louis. Absolutely. You're an example of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We've talked about a lot of things, and I do want to say I've met a couple of your staff members, and I don't want to put anybody on the spot or anything because you have the entire staff is great, but people like Naisha and Fonda and Corrine, they have just really been the backbone in helping us even get this together. So I know you have good staff.
Right. Those ladies were they are my boss,
They
right?
are?
They are my boss.
That's
They tell
funny.
me what to do. But they are an amazing group of people. Each one of them are unique in their own way, and they really love this work, and they love what we're doing here in this community, and they are committed, as my other vice presidents are. But these are the ladies that actually stay up in the middle of the night talking and trying to figure it out and what the next day is going to look like. So I couldn't do this work again without them. I couldn't.
Well, I want to thank you, but you know what? I also want you to give out your telephone number. If people are interested in finding out a little bit more about your services, feel free to share that with them if you want.
If you are interested in any of the services that we've talked about tonight, feel free to call our neighborhood house at 618-874-0777 and ask for our individual and family support office. Again, that number is 618-874-0777, and we look forward to servicing you. May God bless you all.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman.
Thank
and
you
you
so
know what?
much.
I have you on camera, and quite often I ask my guests, if you get the chance, will you come back to Smiles?
Absolutely.
Okay, you heard him. He said absolutely. He didn't just say yes. He said absolutely. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
I want to thank you for tuning in to Smiles Television Talk Show. Tune in every Monday at 8 o'clock p.m. Also, tune in now in the Missouri area on Charter Cable Channel 198. Smiles is born, and we thank you for that. You can catch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Follow Smiles, and remember, only what you do for Christ will last. Keep smiling. You look better when you smile.
The Smiles Television Talk Show wants to showcase your business, organization, church, and activities. If you have an interest in being a guest on Smiles Television Talk Show, or if you have any show ideas, contact Stephanie Anthony Miles at smilestv777@gmail.com. You may also call 618-741-3770. Tell your friends to subscribe to the Smiles YouTube channel. Let Smiles TV increase your reach. Remember, you look better with smiles.